Well, Israel's security cabinet approving plans to take control of Gaza City, marking an escalation in the nearly 2-year-old war against Hamas, but stopping short of full Gaza control. So what does that mean?
So, yeah, the Security Council, Dana, met for 10 hours. They met until 4 o'clock in the morning here in Israel. They adopted 5 key goals, and Netanyahu laid those out yesterday.
But the 5 principles, the key principles are these. 1, Hamas has to lay down its arms. 2, Gaza has to be demilitarized. 3, all the hostages have to be released. And 4, Israel will be responsible for overall security. So if there's an attempt to have a resurgent Hamas or resurgent terrorism, we're the ones who are going to take care of it. And 5, let Gaza be governed by a civilian authority that is not Israel, because I don't want to occupy Gaza forever. I don't want to govern Gaza. I want to have a different governance there that basically is willing to live in peace with Israel and give Gazans a different future.
So we're going to give you all the information you need to know. We have full coverage. Bill Hemmer with more on his interview with the Prime Minister. Plus, Hugh Hewitt will join us in a moment. But first, senior foreign affairs correspondent Greg Palkot has the latest. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, Dana. It was an all-nighter for Israel's security cabinet, but they did come up with a plan. A bit less than Netanyahu had promised Bill yesterday, but in the end, it could achieve the prime minister's aims. It's a takeover by military force of all of Gaza City. Israel controls some 75% of the devastated Gaza Strip, but there is land along the coast where civilians are huddled, hostages are being held, and presumably what's left of Hamas is holding up. This part of the operation will take weeks, including the evacuation of the civilians living there and the deployment of the Israeli military. Then it is presumed the operation could lead to further taking of territory. The plan is not without its controversy. Israeli military chiefs say their troops are tired, and actually running the whole place will take a huge amount of manpower, even though Netanyahu says he doesn't want to stay. The hostages, especially the 20 still living, will be in the direct line of fire in the war zone, and their lives, according to activists, will be in jeopardy. And this will all happen as Israel deals with a mammoth humanitarian problem. The U.S. and Israeli-backed aid units are barely keeping up with needs. More are planned. As for the remaining Hamas terrorists, whose routing out is at the center of all this, they show no sign of leaving, officials in recent days saying they have given up making compromises. Now, Dana, this, in fact, is the hope of some analysts that this is all a negotiating ploy by Israel to make Hamas finally budge. Doesn't seem to be working so far. Back to you.
Nothing has, indeed. All right, Greg, thank you so much. Bill?
Let's bring in Fox News contributor Hugh Hewitt to the conversation. Hugh, thanks for being here today. A couple things here. It was my impression yesterday, walking into that room with the Prime Minister, that he had already made his mind up. He knows what he wants to do. Whether they go that far is yet to be seen. Again, this is the next phase, the next step, Gaza City, which is a huge job. Some reports suggesting their target date is to finish that by October 7th. Will be 2 years into the war. But how you move 2 million people and how you take care of them is going to be an enormous responsibility, Hugh.
It is, Bill, and good morning, Danny. Good morning, Bill. I want to begin by saying everyone who's interested in Israel, around the world, but especially in the United States, should watch Bill's 25-minute interview with the Prime Minister. It's over at foxnews.com. I rewatched it this morning. It's comprehensive, it's direct, it was probing. In fact, it was a bit confrontational, Bill, when you asked him about genocide. But what he said and what I took away, they don't want to keep Gaza. They're going to take Gaza City. They're going to take the rest of the Strip, and they're going to move civilians out beforehand, and then they're going to flood it with aid, and they're going to fight to get back the 50 hostages are left. The one thing that really stuck out, he landed the point again and again. Hamas invaded, killed 1,200, wounded 5,000, took 255. But what he reminded you, Bill, and I think we all need to keep front of mind, is that of those 255, only 50 are left. 148 were got out alive. The rest, their bodies were returned. And those 55 remain, or those 50 remain top of mind with the Prime Minister. This is, I think, an effort to get both Gaza freed from Hamas and those hostages who are alive and the bodies of the dead back to Israel. Excellent interview, comprehensive plan. It begins by taking Gaza City over 2 months.
Hugh, I want to play a little bit more from the interview. This is Netanyahu talking about his plans in terms of the scope and scale of it and the terms.
Are you saying today that you will take control of the entire 26-mile Gaza Strip, as it was 20 years ago to this month in 2005?
Well, we don't want to keep it. We want to have a security perimeter. We don't want to govern it. We don't want to be there as a governing body. We want to hand it over to Arab forces that will govern it properly without threatening us and giving Gazans a good life. That's not possible with Hamas.
Hugh, there's so many different things to ask you about. One of the things that's on my mind is, how does Israel maintain two things happening at once, which is, one, guaranteeing its own security and the security of its people, but also not losing what is a very difficult communications and propaganda war that Hamas is waging around the world, and especially in the mainstream media?
Yeah, that was one of the more interesting exchanges he had with Bill when he talked about the New York Times story on the starving child who wasn't starving but in fact was diseased, about another child who had cerebral palsy, about another child who was taken to Italy. That's why I think everyone should watch the whole thing. So the Prime Minister waded into the information war yesterday with Bill's interview, and I thought he did so very, very well, very adroitly. But he did say, we don't want to keep it. They're not going to occupy it. That means they're not going to go back to what was the status quo before they withdrew in 2005. What he does not want to do, and that, by the way, disappointed some members of his security cabinet. Nobody left that 10-hour meeting that Bill described at the top of the hour happy. Everybody is unhappy to some extent. The IDF, the far right wing that is part of the Netanyahu coalition, the opposition, the families of the hostages, some of them, no one left happy. But I trust Netanyahu because he's right. 148 have been returned alive. And the reason we see the destruction that Bill captured is because Hamas is not only a terrorist organization, they're willing to sacrifice every last Gazan to their insane eschatology and their ideology. They are sadists, and I think that came through. So I appreciate the Prime Minister sitting down with Bill, because finally he stepped out into the middle and took some hard pitches down the middle, and he hit them all, I thought.
More to come, Hugh. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Hugh Hewitt.
You bet.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.